What's up, y'all? It's Rock. We're doing another React video. Watching Bellular's. I will get it one of these fucking days. We're watching one of his videos on Brutal M Nerfs. I didn't know that this was going to be a thing. I didn't know that we were going to get nerfed, and I do quite a bit of M+, so this is actually pretty interesting to me.
So few people, especially later in the patch, are playing the game for the game's concerned. It's almost its own little self-inflating ecosystem of just boosters and boosties.
Oh, it's so sad.
So and I like it. That's me completely going having a vague feeling and running with it. Maybe not necessarily completely connected to reality, but it's a feeling I get whenever I log in and just see no one playing it except for people selling and buying.
Yeah, that does feel pretty rough.
Yeah.
That's obviously something that happens in raiding and PvP. Also happens in Mythic Plus, which is my banging segue to talking about the brutal Mythic Plus nerfs. Because it turns out I chose the right patch to start playing Mythic Plus.
Yep.
I sure did.
Bring that up.
So this is actually quite big. So, and we should also mention here that there are, and we skipped on our last stream, but there was a bunch of specific bosses and specific trash that was nerfed as well.
Yeah, there's loads of that stuff.
And then if we look at the affix nerfs, well, there's been nerfs. So bolstering now increases max health by 15%, it was 20, and damage done by 20% per stack. So bit of a nerf to bolstering.
Okay.
Necrotic.
That's not too bad.
Level 61 enemies now apply necrotic wound on every other auto attack.
That's
and it was
huge.
every auto attack. And the thing people need to know is that those level 61 mobs are the ones you couldn't CC lock, I believe.
So this is how they're dealing with Tyrannical.
Did I read that? Yes, no, that was in the Clivax. That's the one that applies
You're
to
gonna be able to push keys high.
those elite mobs.
Yeah, well, I mean,
real
it's,
high.
well, 61 enemies, not most enemies in dungeons.
Was it? Hang on. I don't want to do a big embarrass, but no, I remember it was the.
I don't look at this shit anymore. I basically just play the game.
It was Clivax's response
Clivax,
to Clivax.
The community poster.
yeah, yeah.
No
Clivax,
idea
yeah.
who the fuck they're talking about.
Clivax, yeah.
Actually, let me find that because I don't want to get this wrong.
Yeah. No,
Getting things wrong is surprisingly easy when you're on air.
Yeah. Well, necrotic wound's an interesting one because
you go ahead, do
I
it.
have very little experience with necrotic recently because I've not been doing a bunch of M+. Except I tried to join an M+ group on my monk as a healer, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is fine. I've got my legendary. I can go and fist weave. This will be fun. Hopped into a necrotic wake, which is a very fitting dungeon for it being necrotic wake. And this is how it went down.
Fuck.
I joined the group, spent a couple minutes getting to the necrotic wake, went in. We're like, happy days, sweet. Okay. Ate some food, flask up. I can't remember what difficulty it was. It wasn't particularly hard, but it was high enough that necrotic was active. Tank runs, pulls
At
stuff.
least a 7.
Builds up to 40 necrotic stacks. Doesn't move. I can't heal him because he's literally unable to be healed.
Dude.
Yes.
And then dies. And then
Leaves.
does the exact same thing again. And I'm in the middle of typing, do you know how necrotic works? It makes me unable to heal you. If you keep getting auto-attacked, you need to kite. I was in the middle of typing that. He left, and then 2 DPS left.
Yeah.
I was like, sweet. All right, well, that's that.
Yeah, one of those things where you've got a mechanic that is, all just aura tracking and is not like an immediate visual one. No, the Clivax line that I was thinking about when I said that was this. In this case, Lieutenant brackets level 61. Enemies that are generally immune to crowd control are keeping their new every other swing behavior. And then he said that the intent of the previous necrotic change was the one that got people really hyped, that it was to nerf necrotic, but that nerf was too hard. So I guess this is what we've got.
Yep.
So there you go. Necrotic also nerfed. Raging. The enrage increases damage done by 75%. It was 100. And for storming, the whirlwinds dissipate once hit. They now always move clockwise. Their movement speed is reduced by 30%.
So when we talk about the 1% and shit that helps them, this is all the bolstering, the necrotic is actually really good. The raging, stuff like that, that's all just numbers. That's all just helping the higher end folks. But the necrotic change, how it changes the actual way that it works, because that could help huge. It's not just less stacks coming out. It means that there's far more opportunity for the stacks to fall off. There may not be as many when they fall off. You may not have to kite as effectively. Like, that's a really big nerf to Necrotic. It might be too much of a nerf, to be honest. Storming, this is huge for like most of the people on the 1 to 15 scale, because the whirlwinds, I've had groups where it hits every single member or members multiple times. So, and that hurts bad. And not only does it hurt, but it reduces damage going out. So this is like, it almost removes the affix. It's crazy. So, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to be getting back into Mythics whenever this kind of crap comes out.
And I've just noticed, because this is a copy from the patch notes, their behavior of despawning on collision with a player, is that still going to be in?
Well, yeah.
I'm really stupid. I literally just read that out with my voice.
Yeah, you literally read that out. That's what that means.
People have seen Anchorman, haven't they? Everyone's seen Anchorman. You know the bit when you're reading? Where Ron Burgundy's reading?
The teleprompter, yeah.
And he has no idea what's on the teleprompter. It's all just... Sometimes that can happen. No, what actually happened is I remembered there being 3 bullet points.
Oh.
But here, we covered 2 of the bullet points in 1 bullet point. Therefore, I got confused. I'm very stupid. This is literally it being a difference between this research note
it's a huge difference in the
one that I
ethics,
did
though,
for
like,
News because
100%.
I'm fucking stupid. But there you go, basically, right? Storming, which the melee people got, don't like. Which actually may have impacted me because a few people have convinced me to go SV Hunter.
Yes, because
Why?
it's the best. It's simming significantly higher than the other 2. At the minute, according to one specific player's sims, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it literally pumps harder than the other 2.
Oh.
I think that includes a legendary bow, maybe.
What?
So, yeah, as in survival, just more damage.
All right, well, I guess we'll be doing some survival. So, hey, storming, I don't have to deal with that.
Stupid,
which is, I mean, I will, but
Yeah,
you
you will if you're surf.
That's grand. I'll only hit it. No, I'll hit it. Then I won't have to deal with it again. So all I'll say is, hey healers, I'm going to despawn all of our storming spawns, and then I'll run into all of them, and then they'll be gone. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That'll be incredible. Oh, actually, you know what? That works well. I can
He's
just
gonna kill me.
I can just bop you. I can just bop you and hit it easy. You know, that's pretty big, actually.
Actually, that is interesting. Yeah, it's just like our highly successful Zymox strategy, where somehow in heroic Zymox, we would always like just... What would happen is some whoopsie would happen on a trap, and then we'd all just be roaring, just friggin' pissing blood, laughing. And then the traps would all get completely out of hand, and we would basically be laughing so hard in Discord that we'd forget how to play WoW, and we'd have these disastrous Zymox runs.
We're very,
Which
very
is funny, because Zymox is one of the guild's favorite fights, design-wise.
I would, well, I mean, that's the thing. I would rather have dumb shit happen, and well, not when we're doing progression, but especially after that or for re-clearing bosses. I would rather have a wipe where dumb shit happens than a completely clean kill where no one speaks.
I mean,
Oh, totally, yeah.
9 times out of 10, like,
so there you go with M+. Basically, right, there's these affix nerfs, which I think is good. There is then a bunch of dungeon-specific boss and trash nerfs, which I think people are generally quite happy with.
huge amounts of them.
And it's interesting. It's really been nerfs, not buffs, overall.
Yep.
And I think that just says that Blizzard maybe... I have to wonder, you know... was it Preach? Was it Preach who worked with Raider.io? Yes, it was, Mike. Was it?
I think so, yeah.
What are we talking about?
Oh,
I watched one of the videos
they got
on
the
that.
stats of the Mythic Plus participation rate drop-off. And for Shadowlands, even though Shadowlands was a massively banging expansion in terms of its initial performance, it, like, M+ just kind of went, Heom. So I wonder if this is them just sort of thinking, right, maybe we tune that to be too punishing. Maybe just a wee bit too much for the community. Not what they...
It's tyrannical, dude. Nobody likes that. So, you've got a system in the game where, you know, you have these affixes, right? And most people can deal with the 2 affixes a week that change. You know, some weeks you don't like them. Some week, you know, maybe you've got Grievous and Necrotic, and then you're just like, well, I'm done. But most of the time you can deal with them. But then there's this one affix that has a 50-50 chance on a rotating schedule of fucking everything up and making the bosses 30% harder. and making it very difficult for the group to be able to get anything done. So people already know that it's going to be there, and they just don't do Mythic Plus that week. Well, if you only participate every other week in a gearing system, it means that you really aren't using that as a gearing system. And if you're not using it as a gearing system, then you're going to go get your gear somewhere else, or you're going to stop playing. So that's why nobody played Mythic Plus. Only people who were willing to do the tyrannical weeks stayed in Mythic Plus, which really narrowed the pool down of players, and actually had a very shitty effect on the community, because people became so ingrained in not letting you join groups if you didn't already have the experience of, even sometimes a level higher in time. They wouldn't let you into the group just because they would not take a chance on anybody. And so then the community perpetuated the problem even more. So you've got this shitty system for gearing that people only wanted to do half the time, with even less than that, because there were a couple of affixes that you just didn't want to do if they were the two that changed. So even less than 50% of the time people wanted to go. And then the people who did want to go, regardless of the affixes, weren't allowed to go if they hadn't already done the content previously. And as the community pool got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, since the affixes didn't change, nobody wanted to take chances on anybody. It's like the AOTC groups. It didn't matter if you were 225 or whatever item level, you weren't getting in a fucking heroic Denathri's kill. It wasn't gonna happen unless you were paying or boosting. So you had to boost in order to raid, which fed the boosting services but killed the raiding community. And I think that's why everybody kind of just stopped playing.
They want, so maybe we'll nerf them down a bit. Or maybe this is just getting rid of specific pain points. I mean, either way, I generally support them doing what they think's right for the game, and if that's right, then absolutely. I've got no right to talk about Mythic Plus.
Nerf tyrannical.
I think
maybe I will in this patch.
most of it is pain points. Most of it's pain points, and a lot of it is readjusting for Prideful being gone.
Oh yeah.
So obviously Prideful gave you that huge massive buff that you could use with correct pathing. So a lot of the very big health nerfs and some of the removal of damage from bosses in particular are down to Prideful, because without Prideful, high keys basically aren't killable if you mess up your Prideful.
True.
Which is one of the bigger problems, because
it's the sort of thing where it's like, I know that.
Not that I ever do big keys. I
Factually
only
and
do 14,
I just can't feel it because I've never interacted with the Prideful affix at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Me thinking about Mythic Plus is a bit of a funny proposition until I actually sort of
I mean, I think if you play Mythic Plus at all in Legion or BFA, you can kind of imagine. I mean, it's damage numbers go down, health has to go down to match, or otherwise people are getting stuck at 17, 18. They're like,
though we are getting
shit.
our the tormented.
Yeah, but that doesn't give any. It gives powers, but it's less a huge timed buff that you can capitalize on with Hero or Bloodlust, because obviously that's a big thing where if you can time a buff and you can lust it at the same time, damage.
Which means one mistake in your Horon's
damage go burst. Yep.
That maybe created this very super binary feeling when lost state that I guess maybe caused some bounce off from people.
Well, I mean,
especially the tyrannical weeks and stuff.
Yeah, with tyrannical weeks where a key is literally impossible if you miss pull and your Prideful timing's wrong. There you go. I mean, to be fair, that's very high keys. But
yes, that is higher than I will ever see.
But it's not just the super high keys though, because shitty players rely on those buffs too. It's not just being super high. Okay, if you're a super high player or high key, yes, it is mathematically if you fuck this up, you're done. But also, people who are on the lower ladders, the 1 through 15 folks like myself, if you're a shitty player, you rely on those buffs. So within your skill compass or within your skill, bubble, you still have the same problem of if I fuck up this pull or if I don't time this right, because I can't play my character to the level that I need to without these timings, I'm still fucked on tyrannical weeks, whereas I'm not fucked on fortified weeks.
Get that it's an issue, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just the idea of like
It's every group that relies on those buffs.
Yeah.
That's a good video. I like their insight. I like their insight a lot.